We can't, people generally cannot recommend financial instruments.
Why mine it if you can just buy it?
The team is the hardest part because it's people. Motivation, I won't lie, money.
Hello everyone, thanks for watching us. I'm Sergii Gerasymovych, CEO and founder of the IT company WEZOM, which has been developing software for 25 years already. Today in our studio we're hosting our friend, partner and client, Sergii Gerasymovych, CEO and owner of EZ Blockchain, the company EZ Blockchain, which deals with, I've written down a lot, I'll quote it now and then you can comment, cryptocurrency mining, as well as hosting for Bitcoin, building mobile data centers, using excess energy, energy balancing, and technical support and management of mining operations. It's quite a complex field for me personally. Sergii, thank you for joining. Thank you very much. Glad to see you.
Thank you, Sergii, for inviting me. It's very, very nice to have this conversation with you. Thank you.
Please tell me, a small side question. While preparing, I had many questions. I'm personally curious. What is the most common question your friends and acquaintances ask you when you talk informally? Because among us developers, there's a meme. Maybe you know it. You're a programmer, meaning anything related to computers and software. You can do it. You're a programmer. This has been going on for about 10 years. And I'm thinking, what's the question you're most often asked? Not by clients, that's understandable, but by friends and acquaintances? You talk all the time. If there are one or two questions, what do they care about?
The most common question in my industry, people I know constantly, regardless of timing, ask when to buy Bitcoin. Accordingly, it's always very hard for me to answer that, because when you actually should buy it, nobody wants to. And when you shouldn't buy it anymore, and that's exactly when people want to. That's the first one. The second question, when people find out more deeply what I do, namely Bitcoin mining, they ask, it's not profitable, right? Or is it profitable? Bitcoin mining is profitable. Well, I always have an answer to both questions. Among people who are into Bitcoin, there's a common line. Buying Bitcoin is never too late. But mining Bitcoin, that's a business. Mining Bitcoin is like running an IT business or a restaurant business or any other business. Some do it well, some don't. So when they ask me whether it's a profitable business, I answer this way. It depends on what kind of business you run and how you run it. There are many other questions too, but they're all about how to get rich.
We were at your talk at the Trident Club, if you remember, where you spoke about the company. I remember they also asked there, tell us which coin, what's better. I liked your answer when you said, sorry, I'm not an expert, I don't want to be responsible for a recommendation. So let me talk about what I know best and what I'm accountable for. I remember your answer, I remember the question.
You see, there's responsibility and there are certain laws. We can't, in principle, people generally cannot recommend financial instruments, securities law, the law on securities, and it's quite extensive. So when a person recommends someone to buy something, they need to have a license to recommend it. Of course, over coffee, we can talk about anything, but as a rule, I answer, if I were in your place, I would do this.
Thank you. And tell me, doesn't it annoy you when, as an expert, a specialist, the owner of a successful mining company, people, even those we know, say, why mine it if you can just buy it? I ran it through ChatGPT, and statistically it's cheaper and more profitable. So this doesn't annoy you, doesn't make you mad, so to speak?
Of course it doesn't make me mad, but again, what's the question? If someone wants to tell me my business is wrong and bad, then of course I get angry because it's my business, I'm the one doing it. Nobody forces anyone to run a business. But if it's just arguments and a debate on what's more profitable, buying Bitcoin or other investment instruments, then of course I need to expand the topic and explain where, but everything depends. Does everything depend on institutions? Everything depends on strategy and what goals you set for yourself. So overall, I'm a fairly simple person, open to criticism. I also recently started my own YouTube channel and realized that you shouldn't take online criticism to heart. And accordingly, if you shouldn't take online criticism to heart, then you also shouldn't take in-person criticism too personally. But you still need to pay attention to what people say. Maybe they have a point, but you must understand who is giving the recommendation or commentary. If someone has experience, a specialist, of course you should listen. If it's just someone making noise or someone who was unsuccessful in the industry and wants to prove they failed because the market is like that while you're still successful, that to anyone can trigger, why wasn't I successful? So you need to pay attention to that.
Thanks. And please tell me, for me, I run WEZOM, an IT company. We used to be a web studio, then an agency, and for 10 years now we've been an IT company. For me, it's not just work, it's my life, and it's very tied to life in general. I spend a lot of time, a lot of emotions. Sometimes I think I spend a ton of energy on learning and on debates with the team. I suppose you've been doing this for 8+ years too. Is it the same for you? What is the company to you? Is it like it is for me, like your own child, into which you probably spend a lot of time, just into the business? What is your company to you?
A very interesting, deep question, Sergii. First of all, of course, it's a big part of life. For example, 8+ years, the most productive part of my career. There are periods in life when you have a drive to do things, and periods when the drive isn't there. My business, Easy Blockchain, fell into a time when there was a great drive to do things. Now my views have changed a bit. There were different stages. At first I wanted to have a business, then a business that grows, then one that makes money, then to have many people because that's a KPI. Now the tasks are simple, to have very good profitability. I've gone through different stages of business and realized that, as they say in America, the bottom line, the very last line in Excel, is what makes sense. Everything else basically doesn't make sense, because if you can't make your business profitable, then it's not very successful. So for me, unfortunately, it's a big part of life. Why, unfortunately? Because as you get older, you start thinking about the future. There's no longer that wow, and you ask yourself whether you invested your time correctly and whether that time produced the results. My answer, I think yes. But management approaches change, business approaches and tasks change. Today, I want the business not to take up all my life, but a part of my life, because previously it was my whole life. So over time, different stages, I think everyone has this. But if you ask whether I'm ready to do something else, I'm always ready. I'm always looking at different industries, different types. For example, you and I started a new project, how to bring mining to other people, how to make it more accessible. That's a completely different stage of business development, because at first we only built infrastructure and sold mobile data centers. Then we slightly changed our approach. We started changing clients, seeing who our client is the client we had yesterday the same client today? Accordingly, you must constantly change, because business doesn't stand still. A good example is Yahoo, which was the biggest search tool / website in the early 2000s, and now Yahoo is just some website with old news. Google ate the market the way OpenAI is now eating Google's market.
Right, thank you. A very emotional and very candid answer, thank you. Sergii, please tell me, you mentioned profit. In your opinion, if there is no profit, is that the entrepreneur's result? Yours or in general? So how is it overall? For example, should we and how long are we ready to keep going if the business doesn't bring money? And do you dig into yourself for that? Because for IT, it's tough times now, hard times, and there's even this survival mindset. Many entrepreneurs, our customers, say that 0 is not a bad number, and they reinvest previous earnings. How does that affect you? Because for me, for example, sometimes it bothers me, and I dig into myself a lot. Or maybe someone else in my place would be more effective?
When that happens, if it happens, in my opinion, to answer that question, you need to look for the reasons why the business isn't making money. If the reason is beyond your control, then you can pause a bit and not beat yourself up so much. If the reason is under your control, then of course you need to figure yourself out. So what are uncontrollable reasons? For example, war. Do you control whether there will be a war or not? And you had to move your business from one place to another, that's uncontrollable. So beating yourself up because your business shrank due to war is wrong. But if, for example, the business shows poor results because you spend more than you earn, unnecessary conferences, fancy dinners, nice events, then the reason is there, right? Of course, running an unprofitable business is very hard. In our industry, in mine, it's more about stability, I'll be honest. Because as I say, in Bitcoin mining, the money is generally made in 3 to 6 months within a cycle. The cycle is 4 years, and you make it in those 3 to 6 months. So you can make a lot fast, and then you need to optimize, because nobody knows anything. Markets can change, and it will hurt when you got used to making big money in those 3 to 6 months, and then you don't. So I think everything depends. It depends on the situation, but some things we can predict too. For example, the interest rate affects business. Yes, it does, so you need to anticipate whether they'll cut rates in 6 months or not. But what do you think? And plan your tasks and scenarios, what to do. But that's hard work. It's all strategic thinking. The hardest job for me as a founder, because you want to run and help, support something, trim, lift, figuratively speaking, but you need to sit and think. That's the hardest. Thank you.
Have you thought and have you had that advice that maybe going for an MBA would help a lot because the learning would give knowledge that helps? I'm like, someone gives me this, someone doesn't. And if you go fully, it's 2 years, it's money, it's time, but there are advantages and disadvantages. So have you thought about it or not?
Yes, Sergii. I believe you need to keep learning. Everything keeps changing. The market changes, the rules change. Management models that worked 20 years ago don't work now, and the models 5 years from now will be different from today's. That's in general. As for the MBA, I'm a translator by education. I don't have an economics degree, unfortunately. And when the business grew to a certain level, I honestly realized, I'll admit to the audience, that I lacked a more scientific approach to business, financial background, higher level management knowledge, how to scale. I think this is a problem for Ukrainians and in America too. When you come here, you see the opportunity, you start doing it, it works, and then you hit a wall. How do I become Apple, for example, or Caterpillar or another big company? And you realize that to become Apple, it's not enough to work 90 hours a week yourself and do all the lifting and trimming. You need a team, you need investment, you need to raise it, and you need to allocate it right. I'm pro MBA programs. My sister is in a program now. I'm somewhat in the loop. And I see that she's getting answers in class to questions I was looking for a long time. But the question is timing, when to do it. I think you should do it when you already have some experience and you feel you've stabilized. My opinion, you can't learn an MBA on YouTube. I remember the Ukrainian channel Big Money and Yevhen Cherniak saying you can get an MBA on YouTube. We won't take lectures, we'll interview entrepreneurs, etc. That's fine for small business. I know very few people, probably none, who, without education or without people with education on the team, with substantial financial economic education, grew a business over $100 million. I know no one. But I know many who did, with a team that includes people with MBAs, strong consulting experience, strong business experience, or at least some experience, because the time comes when you work with bankers. The time comes when you work with funds. It's not enough to hype a cool thing. You need to show results on paper, how money is made over a short or long period, but it has to be structured. Sorry for the long answer. It's a big topic.
So your agenda is already working in parallel on MBA education, so to speak, so that later your company valuation crosses $1 billion?
100%, because I again believe in it very, very much, especially economically. Money is the last thing AI will replace, because money is trust. You can trust AI to write a post on Twitter or Instagram. It'll mess up a bit, nothing terrible. But when you trust AI with how your money will be invested and where it will go, that's your hard-earned money. That's different.
Thank you. And one more question about the team. I spend a lot of time on team building. I'm often dissatisfied. I often overheat expectations with my maximalism. It's never enough. It's a real problem for me to build a team I'd be satisfied with, one that would say yes, and I'd say, right, you should be telling me, we'll do this ourselves, take responsibility, and I should focus on strategy. How is it in your company? Do you think you've managed to build a team that, for example, can work without you while you're on vacation or not? This is a lot of time for me, and I sometimes even think, to be frank, maybe replace someone and it'll be better because there are many heads or C-levels who've been working for a very long time, 8, 12 years, and you're no longer just colleagues. You've been through hard times together. It's a very personal question.
A very, very interesting question, Sergii. The team is the hardest part because it's people. Working with people is always, you can't separate business from the personal. People saying you can make money on this, I don't really believe in that. A team is formed over time. People come, people leave, someone new comes, someone stays. It happens as an organic process over a period. I do have a team. It works. But, how to put it, it's already like the third team. It has changed, evolved. It's the third team. No one is left from the original one. And I realize there's a kind of 3 to 4 year period when people start thinking, changing, and you yourself grow. I think the most important thing for a founder is to understand how to build teams and how to build a system for these teams. Because you'll constantly be a slave if you learn today and do nothing right. I did manage. Yes, I went on vacation once last year for 2 weeks, but that's once in 8 years. I also realized you need to understand a team, people you hired. In my experience, they won't be you. If they are as good as you, they'd have their own business.
They won't work for you.
Or they'll ask you, and then they'll have their own business. You have to understand that. I came to the conclusion, if they think about and care for the business at least 80% as I do, that's already a great result. I don't need more. Of course, knowledge is a different story. For example, someone has better finance skills. They should be better at finance than I am. I don't want them to know finance only 80% as I do. But the attitude, care for the business should be at least 80%. If that's the level, that's great. I think that's what you should pay attention to. As for changing people, parting ways is always hard. It's relationships. It's people. Naturally, the questions always arise. I have a family, kids. Some have a family, some have kids. But over time, it gets easier. I remember my first time saying goodbye to someone. It was hard, very emotional. Now it's a bit different. Again, it's experience. Over time, as a person and as a business person, you come to this. At first, it's hard, like watching a horror movie. At first, it's scary, then it's not so scary. Give me something scarier. Same thing. Yes, thank you. Peak.
As they say, after the 10th firing, nothing scares you anymore, right?
Yes, probably so.
Thank you, Sergii. Tell me, please, you spend a lot of time running a YouTube channel, webinars, personal brand, recording all these videos, and, as I understand, spreading information on a topic that everyone seems to know, but few truly understand in depth. For many, it's mining, crypto, bitcoins. You buy and go, everyone chases it, even entrepreneurs. And it's a lot of work. I get that. I've done something in this area. Tell us, please, how do you find all that time to spread information to the audience? To explain what it is, to educate, I guess. For which, first of all, thank you. I tried to watch the videos, they're very useful. I'm not trying to flatter. The last one I watched cover to cover, very cool. I saw the landscape. I found it interesting. I'd never seen anything like that. Rural, on the edge, and deer or moose walking among people. Very cool.
Sergii, to your question, where do I find the time? I don't know. There is no time, but it needs to be done. There are several reasons why we started doing it. I realized you need to talk about what you do. If you do something fairly okay, fine. You should tell about it. Why? Because if people who can do things don't share, then those who can't will, and the audience ends up in the wrong place. As for time, it takes a lot of time. Honestly, I couldn't even imagine how much. We didn't think it was that much. Yes, it's a lot of work and it's demotivating. You did something, put yourself into it, think it's a cool video, invested 5 years of experience, hundreds of dollars in editing, thousands in travel and filming, and then 80 views. Heavy demotivation. But everyone tells me it's a long game, etc. We'll see. I don't believe they know what they're talking about. Everyone says long game because it's easier. So I think I've changed my view of social networks. Now is the time of populism. It's a very interesting time because people get information from social media, Twitter, YouTube, other networks, and they listen to people. I know people who weren't experts in a topic, but because they kept talking online, they became experts and people started trusting them. And I want to say, if you talk about one topic for a long time, you really become an expert because you need to talk about something like a school poem. To learn it, you'll memorize part of it anyway. So I think people should share what they have, to a certain extent, at a professional level.
Thank you. First of all, for your time, because I'm sure it's very useful. And I wish you that it comes not in the long run, but somewhere in the middle. We should tell the audience we'll leave a link. Subscribe, watch, because everything's important, very interesting. I don't like this question, but it exists anyway, and everyone asks it, regarding motivation. Some get up early, some eat, don't eat, some sports, kids, wife, family. It's different for everyone, but we all do a lot, with a lot of effort and energy. My question to you, where do you draw it from? Especially in the moments when you need it. Where does it come from?
A very difficult question, Sergii. Motivation, I won't lie, money. It's a normal motivation. Money is good. That's first. When you've earned money and you are earning and you maintain a certain lifestyle, you want to keep it. That's first. As for routine, sports are an important part. For me, after work, it's an hour where I don't need the internet or anyone. I just need to think whether I'll lift this barbell or not. It helps a lot, mentally and physically. Because physically you need to move as well. And of course you look at other people in your industry. That's motivating. You see someone you knew a few years ago starting out with you, and now they've got a bigger business, a bigger company. Someone's gone public on NASDAQ, has been trading for 2 years, for example. Someone's raised big money, piloted AI data centers. It's very motivating, honestly, because you start looking at yourself and you know those people. So in general, it's people around you in your industry. They motivate you. And the team, people in general. The team, there are responsibilities, problems, someone with money issues, someone with everything else. And you realize you already have responsibility. You can't just say, I'm tired today, I don't want to. It won't work that way anymore. That's how we work. It doesn't work the old way. This is how it works now.
As they say, a wife says, we need to buy this house, and then turns to her husband and says, I believe in you, I believe in you. Right.
Well, there's family support. Yes, if your wife believes in you, that's already very good.
Thank you, and please remind me how we met. When was it? How did our acquaintance happen? Please tell the story.
Yes, with Sergii, an interesting story. It was the top 100 Ukrainian entrepreneurs in America, something like that. I took part, I got into that list, and Sergii got into that list. People who had access to the list were communicating with others, and I saw what WEZOM does. I'd already had experience with various IT projects. When I saw WEZOM is quite a large company, I thought, okay, I need to meet these people. When we came to the event, you weren't there. Then I met Yevhen and messaged, but Yevhen didn't reply. I was it's on purpose. Sales should keep following up constantly. And I had a project at that moment, and when I needed someone to get things done, I had experience running IT projects, but usually it was outsourcing. I hired my own team and managed them. It's very hard. And secondly, the level, if a person drops out, what do you do next? And when I got to meet you, I saw the business and thought, okay, now I'll be able to work. We were just the project. You didn't reply, and then we started to communicate. You finally replied. I'll troll Yevhen a bit. He likes it. I love good proto. Sales. I love when people sell well. It's a sport to me. I like it myself. Then we started talking and I started doing my project with you, for which I'm very grateful that we had the opportunity to work together, and we still do, because projects get more complex over time. And when you have a fairly large budget, anyone will want to take your money. Giving money is never a problem. There'll be 10 million different companies. For example, everyone messages me on LinkedIn saying, we're the best developers. I'm sure they're great developers, but the approach, when you hire a contractor or a team that starts doing your tasks and delivers, and you're not the project manager but the client, that's very important. You proved there are companies like that. Thank you. It's really great. Thank you. And tell me, please, you probably chose who to communicate with. I remember you said you received 10 emails a day saying, we are an IT company, we'll do everything for you. But why, in the end, let's say for success, did you choose you? For me, it's always very important. Why exactly? Because understanding why a customer chose us can make it more successful, right? Well, yes, lots of people reach out constantly. There are plenty of companies. First, company size, fairly large. As far as I understood, you can take large projects with budgets in millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's quite a large budget that needs coordination and, of course, results. So company size, business experience, that affected the decision. You've been in business 25 years. People who've been in business 25 years already know how to do things. That's the problem of competition. When a business is young, it's hard to compete with older places. And your approach, from the initial sale, from the presentation, broken down tasks, the sale itself happens over some period, budgeting, quite transparent, what's for what. And most importantly for me, your proposal didn't say I would be involved that much less. And that's important to me because that's the reason you hire another team. So they do the project for you. I think these things, and the price, the level I got from you is the level of any American business. I won't say it's India outsourcing prices, well, thank you, but still it's lower than American, though the level is very high. Thank you.
And tell me, please, whether our in-person meeting later somehow affected your choice? If we hadn't met in person and only worked remotely, would it have been hard? I agree.
This is also one of the points I probably didn't mention. It's very important to have a person here, not only you as the owner, but your representatives here who can come to the office. You remember, for me, that was one of the key criteria, to have you come to the office and we could spend hours. Not an hour, but half a day. In a conference room, go through the whole project from start to finish so I could hand you my brain. You'd understand what I want. And that's it. Go ahead. That was very important. It's hard to do with people who aren't here or don't have reps here. Business is people. You want to see people. I think, unfortunately, the pandemic, which was a while ago, but still kind of killed that human feeling. And people are important, especially in your business. For example, you're here, you're in the USA, you can meet, you can fly to Silicon Valley and meet businesses. If someone is in Silicon Valley, you can go there and present. If a business is somewhere in Europe, it's harder. As far as I know, you live in Chicago, and it's a 3-hour flight to anywhere. Your reps can already explain projects to clients. That's very, very important. In my opinion, that's what closed the decision for me.
The choice. Thank you. Tell us, please, a few words about the product. Why? What will be interesting? What did we do?
We built a very complex product. It's a system. I'll start with the tasks. We built a dashboard for our clients where they can see what they mine, how much they earn, and transparency of Bitcoin extraction, their investments. It's a very complex product. As you know, Sergii, we had to tie together several tasks. 1, transparency, so clients see where they put their money. 2, managing all client assets. We had to understand the overall picture on the back end ourselves. And the communication between us and the client had to happen in one place. So we have a back office and a front office, but it's one office, so to speak. 3, solve the billing problem, the billing system. We're still implementing it because it's quite complex. Mining requires physical delivery of electricity, connections, management. We have to account for that. It was a very complex task for us. We solved it. We're implementing it. And that's very important because we solved the problem for our clients and for us and my internal team. So I think it was definitely the right decision and right that we worked with you. Therefore, you said many thank yous to me, and now I say thank you to you.
Thank you. I can't help but ask about satisfaction with the result. Did you get the result honestly, or 80% as you said?
Yes, a good result. Look, you need to look at specifics. When we started with you, we started building one product. And because I, for example, didn't fully understand my business, all the tasks and processes, accordingly, I'm definitely satisfied. Asking, are you satisfied? Yes, because we changed tasks a bit on the fly. I understand this is constant. The client is always like this. Long ago, 10 years, developers really didn't like when it changes. I always tell them, and I'm used to it, Sorry, the client is always right, wants to build, wants to tear down, build here, okay, tear down, build here. The main thing is that they understand it all has to be paid for reasonably, and that's it. So there's no such thing. We got used to it, it's okay. In our case, we rebuilt, and we're still adding on. I'm very happy with the process, very happy with the level of communication. We always had a project manager, many different managers, and they do the work, which is very important. And the result, the design turned out great. I don't want to go into details. I think not everyone is interested. But the very entry into the work, you can do any startup. You have an idea. You can come to you and you literally built a startup that didn't exist. Yes, we made from an old oak a new product, a new way of selling to the client. And we did it without a single technical employee on our team. We did everything with you. Of course, it has its pros and cons, because if we don't have a CTO, now we dumped everything on WEZOM, well, fine. But the relationship is positive and the results are positive. That's the main thing. Thank you. And did your clients already show that everything was done right? Has customer satisfaction increased? Yes, we already have clients. They've moved to the platform. We're watching how they feel, how they behave. So far, only positive results. We open testing. If they have questions, they can ask us. We see people using it. And for them, it's, on the contrary, an open communication. When they say, oh, here's the billing button and I didn't get it, can you make it bigger? And we basically did. That's very cool. And clients in our industry have never seen anything like this, because products aren't of a high level, in my opinion. For example, people may have heard of Coinbase, a cryptocurrency exchange. Well, our platform level is much higher, even though we're not an exchange, but the platform level is higher. And that says a lot, how much technical work was invested. By the way, and the most interesting thing, Sergii, that I also wanted to say, if we move to feedback, it's positive. I won't say negative on camera. The coolest thing was that the product was handed over, not just like, here's a login, go and figure it out, but that we had the whole onboarding package. We have all the documentation. That was a bit of a shock for me. I'd never seen that. Usually it's, here's the code somewhere on servers, log in, it works there. And now we know what to do. If we're talking about growing the business, we talked in this conversation about growth, capitalization, raising capital. That's very important, because when you present to investors and say, I have a product, they'll say, well, great, nice pictures. Show us what you have. When a new DD level happens and people want to see the product, they can just go in and read it like a book. Bullet points. That speaks to professionalism and a strong approach. So that's very positive feedback for you. Again, thank you.
Thank you. I personally tried to motivate the team and said that thank you would wring them out like a rag if you ended up dissatisfied, because this was very personal. We had just arrived, met, and started working. I was even told I was overheating, that the team was overheating.
As for me, now the level has dropped. I probably should have talked to him.
Right. I'll laugh at that, thank you. Thank you for your answers and for the time you spent. I wish your company growth. I very sincerely wish your company to join the club of unicorn companies that many dream of. I dream of this already. Would love it. A reminder that today with me was Sergii Gerasymovych, CEO and owner of EZ Blockchain. Reach out if you need anything, to buy, clarify, discuss, all of that. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll leave the link. Thank you very much for your time. I personally found it very interesting. Many of these questions we hadn't discussed before, and here we tried to talk them through. Thank you, Sergii. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks to everyone who's listening. And don't forget to subscribe to Sergii and to me.
Thank you all. Goodbye.